I find something deeply, deeply annoying about a community that has, for decades, celebrated things like rolling a dead shark in a fish tank into an art gallery, or puncturing the bottom of a paint can and swinging it over a canvas, or photography in general, where you look at something interesting and click a button. Suddenly, the same community that celebrated these things as art for decades is developing a new conscience and philosophy about how it's not real art unless it comes with human intentionality. I swear I've talked to many people and asked them, is it art if I drop a piece of garbage on the floor? And they'll say, yeah, if you say it's art. Where are these people now? Where are they? Nobody's saying that these days. And, human intentionality, like how you need to be intentional about where you puncture the paint bucket before letting it rip, spinning over a canvas.
Damien's work always grapples with really essential themes, sort of art and science, life and death, fear and beauty, religion.
It's funny how quickly people forget their own scruples and philosophy once their position in this elitist artistic power structure is threatened. I thought we were getting rid of the barriers to entry that prevented untalented people from getting into art. What happened to the question, what is art? Well, it's anything you say it is. That was the way of thinking up until 5 seconds ago. I thought effort and skill refinement didn't matter. Can I make my prompted Gen AI art legitimate if I hang it in a gallery and write an essay about how I came up with the prompt and how meaningful it actually is to me? Where are the anti-Gen AI people out here protesting against photography? Did you forget that photography also replaced the landscape painter? No one cares about that because it happened a long time ago, and more importantly, because that mechanical contraption has helped the artistic elite get into their current positions. And this next technological innovation is threatening those positions. That's the real issue. It's not about theft, it's not about water usage, it's not about soul. It's about the status quo bucking the innovation that's going to displace them from their positions. So, let's actually go through the common anti-AI arguments and why they actually make no sense. Gen AI is theft. No, it isn't. What are you guys even talking about? This is a borderline insane talking point. If I scroll through Google Images looking at Van Gogh's artwork to copy his style, that's called learning. It's called being an artist and doing the conventional thing artists do to improve. In fact, this process is so common that we have a phrase for it. It's called finding your own voice. It's when an artist goes from copying the style of other artists to developing their own unique style. And every artist does this on some level. You don't have novelists out there who have no concept of what a novel is. They've mostly read other novels. So why is it that when an AI looks at thousands of works of art and then sometimes reproduces the general style of those works of art, we feel comfortable with this insane claim that it's theft? Since when can you steal a style? How can it be a normal part of the learning experience if I do it, but nefarious and criminal if an AI or AI company does it? And people will say it's theft because it's being used in a data set without the consent of the artists. First of all, can we get a moment to appreciate the insane cope here? Let's imagine a scenario where AI companies sent out an invitation to pay artists to use their artwork in the AI's dataset. Then it's not theft, right? So there's no problem. Well, of course there's still a problem, because that's not the actual issue that artists are concerned about or upset about. The actual complaint has nothing to do with theft. Artists are panicking because AI can do what they do better, cheaper, and faster. It's fine to express that worry, but why are you being dishonest? Why are they so universally being evasive and deceptive when it comes to AI? It obviously makes no difference to them whether or not some artists get paid for the use of their artwork. Artists are only leveraging this complaint because they think it's persuasive and they don't want AI to exist or to be used. If these companies paid for the artwork, nothing about the complaints would diminish in any way, because they obviously don't care if some artists out there get paid once for their work. They care because AI is threatening their industry. So just say that. And by the way, it's not theft to look at something and learn from it. None of your art is being used in any sense in the output. It's being trained on, which means it's being used to learn, which is how every human being learns. Again, if it's not illegal or immoral for us to do it, it can't magically become illegal and immoral when AI does it. Water use. AI is very bad for the environment and chugs water to an enormous degree. I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing called the water cycle, but it turns out that water is, what's the word I'm looking for here? A renewable resource. Yeah, maybe I'm just environmentally ignorant, but I'm pretty sure human artists drink water too. So, yeah, water evaporates and then it comes back down to earth as rain. AI art has no soul. Okay. Time for me to go into full hater mode. Who's the greatest filmmaker today? Oh, Quentin Tarantino. Who's the most brilliant musician? Kendrick Lamar, for sure. What are people even talking about when they make this criticism? Most of the people who hate AI surround themselves with pure schlock entertainment. I'm gonna harshly generalize, but these people, and yes, I said these people, they're not out here reading Tess of the D'Urbervilles or War and Peace or celebrating the film Poetry or Beautiful. And even if they are, where's this enthusiasm for waving around the banner of artistic integrity when the whole cultural landscape around us celebrates nothing but a totally saturated environment of mindless entertainment? Am I the only one tired of the hypocrisy? Do people only have energy for celebrating art when they don't have to tediously enjoy it themselves? Art isn't something you put in your home. It's something you go out and enjoy at a gallery where it belongs twice a year as your cultural responsibility. Heaven forbid if you have that stuff, that boring, dusty stuff in your home. What is this defense of art from people who don't like art? But let's take it a little seriously. People like to strawman the use of AI, and in some ways it's not always a strawman, but they'll say AI can't do what a real artist does. First of all, tell that to the AI scammers who pass AI art off as their own at conventions and where customers are perfectly happy to pay for it before they realize they've been lied to. What does that tell you? If you're being honest, it tells you that the artwork itself is not what you find distasteful, but the process of how it came into existence. People largely aren't looking at a lot of AI art and judging it harshly based on what the image is. If you took the same final outcome, but instead entered an alternate reality where it was actually produced by a human, you would undoubtedly celebrate the skill of that person, and there isn't a soul around who would call a lot of that artwork soulless. Now, I'm obviously not talking about all AI art, but anyone who thinks AI only produces cheap copies of what's already out there has never seen Chinese underworld AI videos, for one thing. There's plenty of AI artwork out there that is like nothing we've ever seen before, and which I think you'd struggle to call soulless in any meaningful sense, except in that it wasn't produced by a person. But I digress. I keep getting distracted from the point I want to make here, which is this. The reason people look at AI and say, you just prompted this, or AI could never replace a real artist, is because it's easier to argue against a straw man. The reality is that there are plenty of creatives who integrate different mediums into a larger artistic project. Filmmakers, animators, and game devs. All the AI ops are really only imagining someone sitting in front of their computer typing, "Make me a mystery novel." Even if they're thinking about it, they're careful to spend less time articulating an objection against people using AI to create game assets or backgrounds for animation or background music, because their argument becomes a lot muddier if the AI isn't doing all of the heavy lifting of the creative work itself. And you may say, well, one of two things, so let's address them. The first thing people will say is that even if it's only being used for backgrounds, for example, it's still important that someone's human hands created this part of the artistic project. Stop being pretentious. When someone films a movie at a gas station, they don't make sure every brick used to build that gas station was handcrafted. You guys are importing this strange idea that intentionality must go all the way down to the atomic scale. This is an argument only invented in the wake of AI. Again, behold the spinning paint can making abstract art on a canvas. Where's the human intentionality there? Oh, that's right. It's just about where they're holding the paint can and which paint cans they choose, right? Not about the main look of the canvas even when the person is done with the painting. You may also say, but the point is that it's being used to replace real artists in those industries too. Look, I want to say this for your own good. AI is here, whether you like it or not. Get out of this starving, panicked, backed into a corner mentality. You have to face reality. Non-artists who can use AI and real artists who won't integrate AI into their workflow are going to be replaced by talented artists who can multiply their efforts by doing so. You can object to this all you want. You can personally think it's terrible. But instead of thinking about what giant studios are doing to save money, you should be thinking about how much more the average artist can do to start their own studio and cut back on expenses. It's not like there's some cosmic limit on how much art or how many studios can exist. Your problem is that you don't want to adapt. That's it. We never looked at a game studio or animation studio and thought, man, those artists just have so little to do. No, we've had a persistent issue with artists needing to work themselves to the bone to create halfway decent final products. AI is a solution to that, but things aren't going to be the same. Nobody even conceptualized that film could exist before someone invented the camera. You're looking at this old studio structure as if it's going to carry on forever. It's not. AI is here and is going to change the very nature of these industries. It's going to open up possibilities for brand new mediums, just like photography opened up the possibility for film. Now, I don't want to be too callous. I'm really not trying to be callous because I think that people who do certain artistic trades are probably going to suffer as a result of this, like people who make music for games, for example, people who make background music. There's probably not going to be much of a pathway forward for that, but that doesn't mean there's no pathway for music in general. And also, this happens regularly in art, right? We used to have people who made beautiful book bindings for book, and those people were replaced by machinery. This is just something that happens, and you have to adapt to it when it comes. And I also want to push back this lingering feeling that you may agree with the logic, but something feels icky about this idea of integrating AI into someone's workflow. How can you be a real artist if you do that? Well, animators integrated rotoscoping into their artwork. How can they call themselves real animators if they're just tracing the frames of a real person moving? Are they real animators? How can you call yourself a real manga artist if you're not drawing the buildings, but you're tracing photographs of buildings that you took around the city? Automation is a part of professional artwork. Open your mind, accept the truth.